Welcome to the European Climate Pact Podcast, your space to explore climate stories, ideas and action, brought to you by Pact Ambassadors and Country Coordinator in Ireland. Launched by the European Commission, the Climate Pact invites everyone to take part in building a greener, more sustainable Europe. From everyday climate actions to systemic change, the Pact is about connecting people and empowering communities. Each episode features thought-provoking conversations with changemakers, experts, creatives, and citizens who are driving solutions across Ireland and beyond. Subscribe and stay updated on the latest episodes via Southeast Energy Agency's YouTube channel and social media. Don't forget to check your favorite podcast platform to listen, follow, and share. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, and hi Brian. Today I'm going to be interviewing for the European Climate Pact Podcast Brian Kelleher. Brian, would you like to give yourself a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Brian Kelleher. I'm a teacher of climate action and maths at post-primary level. I'm a European Climate Pact Ambassador, and I hope today that maybe I can give you an insight into how sustainability is being embedded into the post-primary education system in Ireland.
Great, perfect. My name is Dr. Laura Kirwan. I'm Sustainability and Regulatory Lead at Nutritics, and I'm also a Climate Pact Ambassador. So to start off, Brian, can you tell us a little about your work and why education is so important in climate action?
Sure. I suppose my work as a climate action teacher and as a European Climate Pact Ambassador involves in trying to embed sustainability into our learning and teaching in our school. I hope to try and embed it into the school culture, and also then I'm there to try and promote student leadership and student voice. I suppose the way I look at it is schools are one of the places that we spend quite a long time of our lives in. So we have a captive audience and we can start changing behavior quite early there. And then I suppose you have the multiplier effect when students bring that home. Maybe the behaviors influence the household. Stuff like recycling, food waste, green energy use.
Great, that's really important. And how do you think education for sustainable development is currently, I suppose, evolving or developing in Ireland?
Yeah, I suppose at a national level, it's guided by the ESD to 2030 strategy, which tries to promote a whole school approach. So that would mean teachers, students, parents, local school communities, absolutely everybody should be involved. I suppose also we've seen the introduction of climate action as a short course at junior cycle level, and then last September there was the introduction of climate action and sustainability as a full exam subject at Leaving Cert level. So definite steps there towards embedding it within the system. But more importantly, I suppose you can see the embedding of sustainability across all subjects. The NCCA started maybe 5 or 6 years ago with the junior cycle. And at this stage now you can see it being embedded and integrated into the Leaving Cert subjects also. And I suppose it's very important because obviously we need to move in that direction with the European Green Deal, but also then it provides us with an opportunity to increase student participation, increase student voice, and applying their knowledge to real world projects.
That's great, isn't it? And we hear a lot about European climate goals as well. Where do you see these European climate goals fitting into sustainability education in Irish schools?
Yeah, obviously, when you look at it, I suppose European policy provides the overall framework for the Irish school sustainability. And I find that programs such like Erasmus, which would have a huge impact on our school because we're an Erasmus school, but one of their priorities would be the environment and the fight against climate change. So in our school, we've kind of developed projects around that. And then we've shared and collaborated with schools across Europe, sharing our solutions. And I suppose then as a Climate Pact Ambassador, European Climate Pact Ambassador, I can take the learning I get from the Climate Pact Ambassador meetings and going to Brussels. I can bring that back to the classroom and kind of apply it in a real hands-on way.
which is great. And I suppose there's a lot of theory with sustainability. How can schools practically embed sustainability into school life, I suppose, day to day?
Yeah, I suppose one of our projects was towards a student-driven sustainable school, which really puts students at the heart of the decision-making process within our school. So we would have set up sustainability committees, but also then we would have had the route of the student council guiding our activities. So they would have identified that to be sustainable, you need to divide it up into your three groups: your social, economical, and environmental. So what schools across the country have been trying to do is implement peer mentoring, maybe fourth years mentoring first years, inclusion projects. A lot of leadership training now has been integrated into TY in first year. And then the students themselves would host stuff like fast fashion awareness days, repair cafes. We work with Antashka for the community cleanups and e-waste, and then also batteries. So that would be some of the social side of it. But then economic is becoming more important within schools, such as uniform exchanges and book rental schemes are kind of the two big ones at the moment. But then the student-driven ones would be your swap shops, kind of Halloween costumes, stuff like that. And then in terms of environmental, we see a lot of schools doing biodiversity mapping, plastic-free schools, and linking up with green schools to get those green schools flags.
God, that's great. There's loads there, isn't there? And again, very practical
stuff out there, yeah.
Yeah, and very practical. That's great. What role do you see support organisations playing in helping these schools embed sustainability and climate education across the day-to-day?
Yeah, I suppose Worldwide Global Schools would be the main organisation that would be responsible for delivering global citizen education within a post-primary setting.
Great.
So they provide workshops for teachers, national convention days. But then in tandem with that, you'd have other organisations such as the ISSN, Irish Sustainable Schools Network, which is actually a network of teachers and students working together to try and improve sustainability within schools. And then other groups, they provide kind of ready-to-go resources, Global Action Plan, Eco-UNESCO. So for me, it would be very important to kind of build back capacity within a school so that schools can take steps towards being more sustainable.
Great. I'd never heard of the ISSN, actually. That's really interesting. I'll have to look into it. I'm learning a lot here. And the next question then, I suppose, how do competitions, national initiatives, so across Ireland, and youth programs help students to feel that their voices are being heard?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one kind of vehicle I'd certainly recommend schools take on board. I suppose entering competitions and initiatives gives an authentic platform where students their voice is publicly recognized and graded, actually, sometimes. And what I found is that by entering these competitions, the students build so many transversal skills, teamwork, communication, leadership. So an example of a few competitions that would be available, primarily focused on sustainability, would be, say, the Concerned Game Changers, Eco-UNESCO Young Environmentalist Awards, but also then other competitions such as the Stripe Young Scientist Technology Exhibition have kind of put the focus on sustainability over the past 2 years. And I suppose it just encourages students to investigate issues that they're interested in, maybe design responses and solutions to that, and then present them to their peers.
Right, and there's great visibility across a lot of those initiatives as well, isn't there, for the students?
Absolutely. So, for example, last year we would have the opportunity to engage at EPAS. Now, that's the European Parliament Ambassador Schools, and that would be one way that our voice would be heard on a national level through the participation in the Model Council for the European Union, or say Model European Parliaments, and it gives them great confidence and just a platform for their voice to be heard.
Yeah, which is much needed, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I suppose just trying to get my head around this, why do you think schools do provide such a strong opportunity to act as those innovation hubs and catalysts for change? And do you have even an example of how sustainability or climate related projects have worked really well in that school context? Because I presume not everything works well in a school, and it'd be great to have an example of what does work.
Sure, I suppose, as I kind of said earlier, you have a captive audience for 6 years effectively of their lives, you know. So best days of their lives. But I suppose schools, look, they're community based. Everybody will probably pass through a school, so you have the direct connection with the school. When you move on, parents send their kids to that school. The locals, you know, maybe the businesses are working with the school. So it really is kind of a community hub. So we could kind of harness that and implement real world practical examples. It's a safe space for experimentation, you know, support is given, mistakes are encouraged. And I suppose then when you do implement projects, such as we implemented a vermicomposting system in our school. So it started very small, giving food waste to worms. Worms convert that into compost. So we started very small with a little tower. Year 2, we developed into a 5-ton system. So diverting 5 tons, absolutely. We diverted 5 tons of school food waste and cardboard waste in. But now the next step is we're continuously improving. So we've now applied for ESD funding. We've received €2,500. We're now buying an anaerobic digester. So all that started from one little project. So this continuous improvement that you can make year on year, it should have a big impact on the school, on the students. But then I suppose additionally, it could be replicated across other schools. So, you know, something that's very simple can be trialed and tested in one place, and then implemented, hopefully, you know, in many, many schools across the country.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I suppose something that is consistent across all schools is food service, and there is going to be food waste in all of those schools. So that's great. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how one small school initiative could really be rolled out across Ireland and really have that impact. That's great. One thing that I really find in sustainability is I suppose, climate anxiety. Sometimes the more you know, the more anxious it makes you about it. And I imagine that's a very sensitive area when you're working with students. How have you seen any recommendations, or how can schools support their students who may feel, you know, climate anxiety, but still, you know, teach them about climate challenges and solutions? Because it's very hard, I'd imagine, to get that balance right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel anxious a lot of the time in terms of reading the news, etc. So what I would highlight and what I would recommend is that you really need to highlight the positive elements, the positive steps that are being made, the innovations that are being made.
Yeah.
So really focus on the solutions rather than the problem. Again, maybe recommend, say, taking practical steps themselves, practical, actionable steps. That would encourage leadership, but also it will show them that their little actions, it all adds up. Even tiny little actions should be stepping towards our goal, you know. And I suppose then you have to be honest with them. You have to balance the information that you give them with that optimism. Yeah. Because it can be quite distressing. You know, we are bombarded in the media with a lot of the negative narratives, but if we can take the positives out of that and hold on to those, that's how I feel we can combat it.
Yeah, and I suppose there's such a big opportunity there as well for even new projects, like you mentioned, to develop into businesses and then really support mitigation, I suppose, of climate change at scale, which is great. I just mentioned, I suppose, opportunities there. What would you see as the biggest opportunities and also challenges, I guess, for sustainability education in Irish schools across the curriculum right now?
Let's start with the positives, I guess. So I suppose, look, the Education for Sustainable Development 2030, that's definitely a positive. That gives schools a framework. That gives them something to aim towards, and it kind of allows me as a kind of sustainability practitioner to really force the issue, not force the issue upon people, but really kind of, look, this is something we all have to do. It's now embedded in legislation, so we should be doing it. I also see the great opportunities that there's massive student interest and massive student motivation to get involved, especially in more of the hands-on projects, where they can see tangible results. Collaboration between schools is also a huge opportunity. Yeah. As I said, I've kind of robbed projects from other schools, and hopefully they're taking my work and implementing it in their school. But we really need to work as kind of a network of sustainability practitioners. Now, the challenges then, there would be limited time within the curriculum to kind of dig deeper into a lot of these issues. Yeah. So while they are embedded, they may be glossed over, maybe due to, say, teacher training, teacher confidence in delivering, I suppose, a lot of what could be very sensitive topics or wicked problems. And I suppose then the one that everybody faces is funding, resources, time for projects, stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of more opportunities there than challenges, I would say, which is really nice.
Which is definitely positive, yeah.
And you seem to be quite, I suppose, far down that journey with sustainability in your school. Do you have any advice, or what advice would you give to any schools that maybe haven't started on this yet, but are looking to start on their sustainability journey?
Absolutely. I suppose the main thing would be to start small. Small and achievable projects that you can maybe complete within the school year. And then once you feel a bit more confident, I would start reaching out to organizations, definitely worldwide global schools in terms of building teacher capacity. But say Antashka would provide a range of services for schools, the green schools, beach cleanups, National Spring Clean, Climate Ambassadors. So there are two organizations I would probably link in with. I would also say to use the subjects, use what you're doing now. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, you should be in challenge, or you should be engaging with these topics inside in class. So maybe just spend the extra little bit of time digging deeper. And the final thing I would say is try to embed it in the school rather than creating once-off events. I would look at it maybe creating a long-term culture. Once-off events are fine as long as they're backed up with, say, an information campaign, and then followed up afterwards with kind of some sort of reflection task. But definitely kind of taking a holistic long-term view.
Yeah, I guess the consistency really underlines then the importance of it as well across the year. And I suppose, just to finish off, what gives you hope when working with young people on climate action? I'd imagine it is very inspiring to see the engagement and the success of these projects.
Oh, absolutely. And I suppose the confidence it brings when the students can see their work and people come over and engage with it and ask questions about it. But I suppose overall, what I see in school is that the students actually have a strong motivation to change. They don't want to, I suppose, turn into us effectively, but they want to, make a better world. And I see the creativity in their solutions is phenomenal. I mean, maybe we're a bit jaded in our views, or, our life experiences kind of dumbs down or, mute some things. Yeah. But these students, they're just so free. They come to with creativity. I also see a building kind of sense of fairness and responsibility within the youth. They realize we're probably on a path that we shouldn't be on, and they're willing to collaborate and work with others to try and change that. But I think overall what I see as positivity is that they just want to make a difference. They just want to get out and make their voices heard and make that change for a better future.
Yeah, that's really nice, and a fresh perspective as well. It's always nice to see young people coming up and they do view things differently.
Absolutely.
So that's great. So thanks so much, Brian. That was really interesting. I've definitely learned a lot. So thanks everyone that watched this podcast, and yeah, thanks very much, Brian.
Thanks very much, Laura.
Best of luck with all the school projects.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you for staying with us through the European Climate Pact Podcast, hosted by the Pact Ambassadors and Country Coordinator in Ireland. We hope you're feeling inspired to take climate action in your own life, community, or organization, because Real change starts with conversations just like these. Catch up on all episodes via Southeast Energy Agency's YouTube page and follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes, and more. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, colleagues, or anyone ready to be part of Europe's climate journey. Talking about climate's journey, visit the Climate Pact website, climate-pact.europa.eu, to explore all the lovely citizens engagement tools you could use to start your climate journey today. Until next time, stay curious, stay active, and stay climate conscious.
Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the author and authors only, and do not necessarily reflect those of the European Union. The European Union cannot be held responsible for them.